Hi everybody, it's Rob again from the shed, well, the living room, with something that a lot of people are very familiar with in the meantime. This is the Tamiya Porsche 956, and I've been flat out since January, and you can see I haven't even been able to paint my own car yet. So what have I been busy with? Most people watching this will know. I've been producing the details kits for this car. A lot of stuff, and now I've actually got it onto the car, so I'm going to run through what's on there in case people haven't seen. So that's the 956 Porsche from Tamiya, quite a limited edition apparently. They're quite scarce. I think most people who wanted one have got one, and they're setting about customizing it and making it a little bit more realistic. What did I do? So my first job, as I thought, was to make some new wheels for it. So this side I made some wheels which are compatible with the rubber tyres from the Tamiya F1 cars. So the carbon reinforced wheel that fit the rubber tyres with valve stems. I think it's got it on there, might not have it on there, might have fallen off. Tyre decals and aero discs, and in the box they come aero discs front and back, and they clip on with a hub and everything. And on the other side I designed and made some to cater for the sponge, the foam wheels, and you can see from the back there's quite a bit of difference in width. The rims can be cut off as well. I haven't done it here, to be cut off to cater for the narrow tyres, the front sponge tyres, or they can be left wide. You see, I haven't even put the electronics in this yet. What else is there? So in the detail kit, I'll start at the front. There are rear light buckets which can hold the LEDs. So they fix into all the polycarbonate stuff, and they come with tape, of course, to put them in. Front tow hook, which is on the front there. Just need a little slot on the front that slides in. Wiper, so the cantilever wiper system. I've only put one screw in here for the moment. The kit comes with 2 screws. Side lighting here, which is normally a decal in the kit, which is a tiny little light which would shine onto the race number. On some cars they had them, some cars they didn't. The 24-hour cars would of course had them. There's a small hole in there. You can put a tiny grain of wheat lead in there if you're really crazy. Exhaust outlets, decals for the 83 race, the Group C entry, fuel filler cap on this side. I made some NACA ducts to go on because Tamiya didn't pull the forming deep enough, so they can be cut out and put on. So that's on both sides, and this side has the oil filler cap and NACA duct. The oil filler cap is back here, and the main fuel cap, the double tank, and then on this side we also have the valve stem for the jack and the handle, and there's a tiny little decal that comes in which goes underneath there as well. And on this side we've got E-shut off on there and canopy release. That's that, and in that kit also come the missing sponsors for the front there, for the rear here, and the Boss logo to go on there, and men's fashion, and a roof antenna. So there's a tiny little roof antenna with a piece of 0.5mm PVC. There's a tiny hole in the top there. You might just want to ease that a little bit. In fact, what I do is just sand the point of the antenna rod, slide it into it, and just a bit of super glue. Now all these parts, the kit comes with laser cut double-sided tape to help bond these parts onto the body. But what like you see it here on the side here, so it's laser cut. You stick that on the part, push it on. All retrofit, so you paint the body first and you put all these bits in after. But what I would do is also use a bit of shoe glue or hot melt glue, just to put in a couple of extra dots, because this tape is very, very thin, and I've noticed it does sometimes just release a bit. So there's the wheel sets we've got, foam and rubber, body detail sets, and then there's the other set, which is the rear spoiler, the rear wing, some new mounts which go under there, a little bit more accurate, and then a diffuser which goes underneath, and infill pods which go underneath the fairings. These are not painted, they come black. So this comes as a main diffuser cone, the deck plate, a cone here, the point. Some cars had this point painted in body colour, some didn't have this. So in the kit there are two options, a hole, just a cut-off one, and a full cone. And these can also be, these side pods are also lead ready. So they slide in over all the Lexan material, and you can put leads inside there. I've seen some people already have painted them. I did it in black as it's a good base for the dark blue, and also the black doesn't bleed the light out if you put lights in. This wing is based on an actual wing profile, and it's screwed in with stainless screws, which are of course in the kit, and there's a little bucket underneath which screws in, or you can glue it on. And you can slightly change the angle of the wing. This side isn't screwed on, so you can push it down a little bit, just for cosmetics really. You can adjust that. So those are the two main kits. Well, it's actually four. The wheel sets, two wheel sets, body detail set, and rear diffuser and wing set. So they've been flying out. The pre-orders for those were absolutely astronomical, and it took a lot longer than I expected to prep everything because the orders were coming in as I was prepping, so it was just a continuous cycle. I am so thankful for all of those people. A lot of people have mailed for tips and tricks. People have mailed to say they've got their kits, they're loving it. Can I make a little bit of changes here and there? What I've done, I've produced sets which, as a model maker myself, should encourage people to take things further, and a lot of people are doing that. Taking stuff further, adding their own details, making exquisite display models out of this. Now there's one thing that people have been talking about, I've been talking about, and it's already fixed into this car, and it's been a long time coming. It's been a collaboration with James from Knight Customs. It's been an absolute pleasure to work with him, and what we've done is produce this interior cockpit specifically for the 956. So you can see it's mounted in there. Now that's a mix of printed parts in FDM and resin parts and laser cut parts and then decals and stuff, and that's specifically designed for this car. It rides a little bit above the battery box, so you've got space under there. There's a hole in it in case you need to use put some cables through or something, and there was a body post under there which was designed to relieve that in case you're running a very low body. So that all fits in there, and that's really nice. So what I've been doing, I've been working on that in between getting all the other bits manufactured, because as most of you know, it's really literally just down to me in between my other jobs and family and stuff to produce all the parts. And if you look at the bill of materials for all the kits, there's the box, the foam has to be laser cut, engraved, the labels made. If you see the kits, you realize how much stuff goes in there. And all these kits come with sandpaper, so grit, 600 or 1200 grit, because all these parts still need to be finished to how you want. They're printed, they're good, but I personally just take them down a little bit before painting. Certainly the wing. The underside I wouldn't bother with, just prime it and paint it. And the smaller details like the wiper just needs a little bit of fine cleaning up. Be very careful with that, it's very delicate. Some parts are like half a millimeter. It is delicate. If it's slightly bent when you get it, a little bit like that, just warm it up in some warm water and just gently ease it straight and let it dry. Sometimes they tend to curve a little bit from warmth or UV and stuff like that. But definitely prime all the parts before you paint them, and you can paint all these parts in pretty much any paint you want, really. So that's that. Now let's move on to something, what people have been really eager to have, and this is the cockpit. So that's the cockpit for the 956. Now I'm not a painter, but I decided I would make up a mock-up of the cockpit that goes in the 956. You see that hole there? This is, I'm making also a plug which goes in there. If you don't use the hole, you can blank that off. So the cockpit is, it says on the box, designed in Australia and made in Belgium. So James and I worked on this together. I produced the form to fit in the car, and we worked on the details. He modelled it, as he is an expert in modelling this sculpted surface modelling. I'm much more of a hard edge engineer modeller. So we worked on it together and got to where we thought this is like really going to work. Now, personally, I think if this is painted up by a professional, this is going to look even good, as good as any Tamiya scale kit. The fact that it fits into a polycarbonate body or an RC car, that's something else. So that, I think, personally, I would have that in my office, just like that, painted up professionally. So this kit is coming out. Right now it's Friday, I leave tonight for a week's holiday, but then the video will be coming out and it'll be going online. The video might be out already, I don't know. And this will be online for pre-order. Now, keep in mind, like everything I make, I don't build stock. I have a little bit of backup material. If I'm producing parts, I'll produce more than I need, but everything has to be prepped, cleaned, packaged. Part of what I do is packaging stuff as well as I can and how I would like to receive things so that things arrive to you safely. It's not superfluous, fancy stuff. It's purely to make sure stuff arrives safely, because some of this stuff is very delicate. But it's also part of when you buy stuff from me. So what does this consist of? This consists of a tub, chassis, dashboard unit, which fits under the bodywork cleanly, a seat, dashboard unit, steering wheel, driver head, a laser cut visor, and the visor is held on with two 1.2 by 3 millimeter screws, so they're Phillips screws, tiny screws. Driver's held in with a screw, and the rest is super glued together or hot glue, and then the front section of the cockpit is screwed on with two tiny countersunk screws. Now, I've made the decision to print this main unit in white because most of the cars are metallic interior, the alloy interior, and that reflects the metallic paint better. And the front section I print in matte black, because that is certainly matte black in the car to avoid reflection in the driver's face. So if we start with the white and you get a slight chink in the paint, you're going to see white on it. So I start with black. Same with the dashboard. I could have gone with white on that, but I've gone with black on that. And of course this comes with decals that I've designed. I've designed a dashboard which is all the dials, and they're presented on the decal sheet in the correct order for application. The center boss of the wheel has got the Momo decal on it. Two options, with the black background or with a transparent background. So if you do a silver boss on the wheel, you can use a transparent one with the yellow logo. If you use a black boss, you can have the black. So you don't have to, it's impossible to cut around the letters. They're like 1.5 mil. When I designed the dials, I was designing them full size on the screen, and they actually have all the numbers on, exactly as they would on the real car, with the rivets and the screws and everything in the dials. And then I reduced them down to 7.4 mil, which is the diameter of the bezel. You don't see it, but you know it's there. You recognise it's there, so you can paint that up. The driver's helmet comes without a visor modelled onto it, so I made acetate sheet models visor, and that can be actually lifted up like that. So you can have him with an open visor or closed. Now, as I say, if I was a skilled painter, that would look so much better. So that will all come in a nice box, something like this probably. It says on there, designed in Australia, made in Belgium. And the driver will get to you in a plastic pack. Like all the stuff I do, I seal in a plastic with a cardboard back, and the driver comes like this. So the driver is tucked in nicely in a laser cut foam, which I do myself, of course. The gear selector, which is a separate unit, the wheel, the helmet fits in there, and the visor is in a tiny slot there. You can just see it. So don't throw that away. The visor is in there. I will put a piece of paper in the box to explain everything's in there. Now this is specifically, for me, this is specifically designed for resin printing. The bodywork, the body, the helmet, the steering wheel for sure, it's very fine detailed. So that's basically the raw prints that come off my resin printer, which need cleaning up and stuff like that. Every box will have some sandpaper in. I would recommend polishing this with a 1200, and you'll see on some of the helmets, which is this one doesn't have it, there's a tiny little indentation on the top of the helmet because that's the lowest point in the print, and you might need to fill that up with a little bit of Tamiya putty or something. Depends how crazy you are. We have to remember this fits inside a car, which is sort of deformed plastic. So what you see is what you want to see, basically. Before painting these, give them a wash with a little bit of light detergent and a little soft toothbrush just to wash off any greases. I've washed them all, so my process is they're printed in resin, they're washed in IPA alcohol first bath, they're washed in a second bath, and then they're washed in ultrasonic cleaner with a mild detergent in, and then they're rinsed off with clean water with a toothbrush, and then they're cured in ultraviolet light. And in between that, I have to break off all the supports. So there's a ton of work goes into producing those, as you can imagine. Now, the million-dollar question is, this is collaboration between Knight Customs and myself. Will the STL files be available? Not initially. Okay, I've got the run on this to produce them, and this is exclusive for me. You're not going to get this kit any other way, or these parts any other way. This is a massive kit. There's 25 different components which go into that, including the box and all the packaging. A little bit later, James will be releasing the files, but the driver is slightly different. So the cockpit area and stuff like that will be the same. It won't have the decals with it. It won't have the same driver detail. You'll have a helmet with a fixed visor on it, not the option of a transparent visor. So that remains the Rob Mitchell Racing Needabiggershed complete kit. And of course, it doesn't come pre-painted, it comes pre-printed and checked, and all the bits and pieces you need to produce it yourself. So that's where we're going with that. Now, next bit of news, and most aggravating bit of news, is for the 959 Essentials people. You can see on here, there are 2 parcels waiting customs clearance, and it's still there. And I can't contact these customs clearance people in Brussels, and I'm waiting to get information from them to pay duty on those kits, body shells, which I've got 959 shells plus a ton of other shells, and they're being held up in customs for whatever reason. Now, I've mailed everybody personally who's ordered an Essentials kit, 959 Essentials kit, and said to them, look, guys, this is the predicament I'm in. I'm away for a week. I'm stuck with the customs. I don't have the shells. I can't move anything. And some people have ordered Essentials kits with 956 stuff. And I gave them the option, a refund or some extra bits and pieces to go into the kit, which I'll provide as a sorry and a thank you. Everybody, and this is just a testament to the people that buy from me, have said, no problem, we trust you, we'll wait. And that really gets me. That's absolutely phenomenal that people will do that. So I'm hoping that while I'm away, I get the message to pay the duty, they'll be delivered, and when I get back, I can start prepping and boxing all those orders for those people. So this is the offending article, that's what I'm waiting for. That's the one part I don't make myself, of course, unfortunately, the shell. So the 959 Essentials kits, it comes with headlight buckets, you'll remember from Project 959, I made a ton of stuff which goes on there. So that's the 959 bucket kit specifically for this set. This is the 959 Essentials rear light pod, roof lights, door mirrors, and all the screws that need to hold it all on. And then of course there's the rear wing set, the wheel sets, they go in there, and there'll be some other goodies that I'm going to put in there. There'll be the resin parts that just lift it up a little bit. Again, to say sorry to everybody, it's most frustrating. So that's where we are. A lot of people have mailed to say, yeah, we can't order from you because everything's sold out. What I did, I opened pre-orders in January. It went ballistic. And then suddenly I just put a mount and inventory on the shop and immediately sold out. So I opened again with the amount of packaging that I had. So basically I have to order these boxes for the parts. And I'd ordered those all in and I was out. So I thought, oh no. So I've ordered some more. They're all also on the way. And I needed to clear all the orders that I had, the pre-orders for wheel sets, for the body sets, and also for the C11 sets, which the people are still very, very interested in. So I had to mass produce another pile of C11 sets. So what happened was everything was sold out. And I told people, I'm not going to stop ordering. I'm not going to stop making. But I really had to, because I just didn't have any material to package stuff, and parts were missing, and I knew the holiday was coming. So during the holiday, I'm opening up pre-orders again. So that as soon as I'm back, the cockpit's going to be online. That's going to be online, because a lot of people are waiting for that to order the other stuff, which is logical, to save postage, to bundle it all in one box. So pre-orders will be going open for the next batches, which will be a continuously evolving thing, produce, package, send out. For 956 details, 956 diffuser and wing set, cockpit sets, C11 details, C11 diffuser sets, and 959 essentials. But I'm a bit wary of that until I get the body shells in. So basically everything will be opening up again. People can mix and match and combine the orders. And also the short drive shafts for the MFO1X, which I think I'm out of now, but I've rough sawn like 50 more blanks, which I have to machine and drill and clean. Oof. So yeah, the last few months have been absolutely chaotic, getting orders out. I hope everybody's got their orders. If you haven't got your order yet, and you've got a tracking number, you'll always have a tracking number. If you haven't had a tracking number and you've placed an order, and it's combined with 959 Essentials, you've also had an email from me, I think. If there's any problems, mail me. I'm doing it all, so I've got to make sure I'm up to date on everything. That's it, really. The week ahead will be sometime behind the computer, sometime out in the snow, I hope. And orders will be open. I am open to questions as usual. Just mail me. Don't message me through the socials. It's easier just to mail me. I see the emails. I can reply to everybody personally, which I always do. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. I hope everybody's on their way to getting their 956 as they want. The last magic touch will be this cockpit, which will be going into a lot of cars, I'm sure. I'm looking forward to seeing lots of pictures of finished cars. Some people have already been sending me pictures of how they finished the wheels, how they finished the body details, and even people have taken it to the next level, which I welcome open-heartedly as a model maker. To the model makers out there, thank you so much for your support, everybody, and I will be in touch very soon. Bye-bye.